Hey everybody, welcome back. I haven't made videos in a long time. Summer's a crazy time for me. I keep my kids home a lot. I don't trade as much in the summer, and I certainly don't have a lot of time for making videos. So I plan on getting back in the swing of things. It's September, kids are back in school. This is my first week back to trading full time. I was traveling the past couple weeks, and I want to try something new. I think that'll allow me to get more content out there for you guys because part of my daily practice is, of course, reviewing my own trading. And so, what I want to try to do here is do this in a way that benefits both myself and everybody. And I thought, why not start today? And why is today a great day to start? Because today I totally biffed it. I really did not trade well today. Um, the one thing I did do right, I have a cutoff. I have a daily loss limit, and I hit my cutoff and I stopped. So I did that right at least. But I didn't follow my rules. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to go to my screen share in a second. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I did not follow my rules today. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you actually what I did. I'm going to show you the trades I took. It's a little bit embarrassing. Today was like probably the worst I've traded in over a month. Um, but I think that's instructional. But then what we're going to do is we're going to go through, and I'm going to actually go into market replay, and I'm going to show you how I should have done it. This is something that I do myself. I record the data as I'm trading, and then I play it back later, and I practice executions. I practice doing it better, right? And this is something that I find is really important. My background is in behaviorism. I'm an animal behaviorist by trade, and it's super important to practice doing things correctly. So yeah, I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's hindsight. Of course, you're doing it in replay, and you know what's gonna happen." Whatever, man. Like I've been in the field of changing both human and animal behavior for over 15 years. So I'm going to do what I do and I'm going to share it with you guys. And yeah, it's market replay. And yeah, it's hindsight. But that's why I'm going to show you my live trades first, because there will be days that are losing days and days that are winning days. So you'll see my real executions. And then we'll contrast them with like how it should have been done. And the reason I'm going to do it in replay is because it's so different analyzing a chart but like as it's coming through versus when you can kind of see the whole chart at once. And I also think it's extremely important because trading is an action, right? It's an activity. What's really important is to practice the execution so we can observe our mistakes and think about what we could have done differently. And that's great. It's like reading a book. But again, trading is an activity. It's like a sport. You're not going to learn how to play a sport by reading a book. You might increase your understanding of some of the technical things, but until you actually practice that, it's really not going to make a difference on your performance. So that's why I daily go into replay and I redo the day and I practice executions. I do drills essentially, right? It's super important. So again, I'm starting with today because it's a red day, and a lot of people don't like to do that and show when they completely screw things up. But today I totally screw things up, and you'll actually see on my screen, like I put notes in of like what not to do, and then I totally did those things that I told myself not to do. But it's okay. I have a daily loss limit. It's not catastrophic. I'm going to be just fine. And I'm going to take advantage of this to learn from the opportunity, and I'm going to share it with you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to go over to my screen. Again, I'm going to show you first what I actually did, and then we're going to switch it up, go into market replay, and we're going to do it the right way. And I'll show you the analysis. I have two main trades that are in my playbook that had plenty of opportunities today if I would have just followed my rules. So you're going to see that I took some trades that were outside of my playbook, and that's where things kind of went wrong, right? I'm normally really disciplined and good about sticking to my playbook. You ask the guys in my Discord room, they'll tell you, like, the days will go by where I'm like, I didn't take anything. Nothing from my playbook showed up. I don't know what got into me today. So anyhow, let's go. I'll show you what I did. All right, gang. So here we go. This is not replay mode. This is going to actually show you my executions. And let me show this on here. Okay. So I'll zoom in so you can see exactly where I executed, but I kind of want to show a big picture of the day. I'm not going to go through multiple time frames yet. I'll do that when we get to replay mode. But as you can see, this was pre-market. Beautiful breakout here on news. Had I been at my desk, that would have been a wonderful trade to take within my playbook. happened perfectly. I wasn't at my desk. I don't usually get to my desk until a little bit before the cash open. So anyway, big sell-off day. Obviously, the market was to the short side. So that was part of my plan. If I go over, this is a 2000 tick chart, by the way. Again, I will zoom in a moment. Just want to show you on my 10,000 tick chart, which is my sort of intermediate trend. I have this, I want to put this right here. You might not be able to read it, but I'll read it for you. I wrote this note to myself during my pre-market analysis. I said, wait for structure to shift before going long. It can take shorts if the 10K is still in a stage 4 downtrend. This is a very clear stage 4 downtrend. This is the 10K chart. Or I could take a short at a retest of the 57 area, which was up here where we had that breakout. So at the time that I wrote this, this was pre-market. It was about, here from a time standpoint. The cash open was about here. Right about there is where the cash open occurred. And I'm going to show you the stupidity of myself here. So again, wait for structure to shift. Structure never shifted on this 10,000 tick chart. This is a very clear stage 4 downtrend. Now I did start out my day to the short side, and then I was like, oh, I think it's going to go long from here. We were at this sort of low point. If I kind of take this out, so you'll see kind of where we were at this sort of swing low, and I saw this cumulative delta coming in here. You can see the deltas moving upward as price was going down. So I did start to think about longs. I'll show you where I messed up though. Okay, so I'm going to go to my execution chart, which is a 2000 tick chart. This is, by the way, ES, so S&P 500 futures. And so cash open, just so we know, is right around here. Okay, so the market had been trending down. Now, this part I'm thinking price is super extended. I wasn't super keen on taking shorts at this point because, again, if you look left, this is that major swing low area, sort of a demand area. If you look on a higher time frame, wasn't super keen on shorts, but definitely wasn't ready to go long yet. So I sat on my hands through all of this action. And then way over here, this is my first trade. I didn't take any trades until almost 10 o'clock. And this is my first mistake. I looked at the news. I looked at the calendar, and I knew we had news at 10 o'clock, but I wasn't paying attention to my clock, which I'm usually very good at. Again, I just don't know where my head was today. So if we zoom in on this action here, I was starting to get a little bit frustrated, hadn't taken any trades, this huge sell-off, and then I see this right here. I see this support, and I'm thinking like, okay, this line right here was a major swing level. This was the low of that swing low. Okay, we kind of bounced on it a couple times, failed, and I saw this huge red bar. Now, red bar, but look at the delta down here, guys. Look at the delta. This was one, again, I shouldn't have even been looking at shorts down here to begin with. I don't like taking breakouts of these like major levels on super small time frames. And the price was so extended here. But anyhow, look at the delta though. I mean, this delta was coming right up, coming right up there. Oops, sorry, just gonna get that out of there. So delta was coming, like this is pretty big delta divergence, which is usually would keep me out of that trade. I just wasn't in the right headspace. So on this break, I took this short, like literally right at the low, and 957, 959, right at 10 o'clock. Look what happened when the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report came out. Now, luckily, I did trail my stop down. I saw the order flow was getting weird in here. I saw the delta starting to pick up. So I said, you know what, if we break this high, I'm just going to get out. So I did. So it was a very small loss. I was only down about $40 at that point. So really no big deal. And then again, I wasn't even paying attention to the fact that this was a news move, which usually I would have sat on hands. I was kind of frustrated with myself from here. Again, really sort of embarrassing, like my word, like this was a bad performance on my part. Okay. So I saw us coming up here. And again, I'm looking at this range here, okay, let's pretend this wasn't here. So I'm seeing us break out, right? And we kind of pushed up. But again, on this breakout, I mean, at one point, this delta bar looked strong. But again, look at the divergence. It's just not good. So from this high to there, the delta is moving down, price is moving up like stupidity. But also at this point in time on the 10,000 tick, we're right here. We had not broken this stage 4 downtrend, right? We're still very much in a stage 4 downtrend. Plus, we had this swing low right here, which is basically I traded right into that crap. Again, why? I don't know. I don't know why. So anyway, that quickly got stopped out. That was kind of stupid. And at this point, I don't even know what I was doing. I was thinking like, okay, I see what's happening. I think we're just going to go short. At this point, I think I realized that it was a news move, and I was like, let's fade the news. I saw price coming back into this range. Nice kind of candle close there. Again, okay, delta here. And I was looking at this sort of like micro structure kind of in there as we broke it. I took short again, like literally at the swing low. Super frustrating, got stopped out immediately. And then I just kind of chopped a little bit, right? Now, this was actually a decent move. The problem was at this point, I had completely messed up my psychology for the day. And this is why it's so important to stick with your playbook, because I'll tell you what, like this move was actually, this trade down here and this trade up here were the first two were technically in my playbook. I just didn't actually like analyze the chart well, but a breakout of the support and resistance is one of my bread and butter. Like that's where I make my most money. These just aren't good breakout setups though, right? Like you don't trade every single time you see price breaking out. You got to have some criteria, and both of these had things going on that should have limited me from entering them. But they were at least within my playbook. This short right here, not within my playbook. And then whatever I tried to do in here, not within my playbook. So anyway, now we formed this low, low. So we got this nice support level. And then you see price really started to break down. Now you see the delta really taking over. I got in this trade right here. Okay, let me zoom in on this for you guys so you can see. I got in this trade right here. My first target is a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. So that would be where the target was. But I was shaken, right? This is why you've got to stick with your playbook. I don't know if that's exactly where my stop was. It was probably somewhere like that, a little bit above the resistance because this was such a big bar. So I kind of just had to place it there. And I exited one contract right there. And then I had another contract, which, as you can see, would have worked well. But I was so kind of jumpy at this point and frazzled that I trailed my stop above these bars because I just didn't want to lose any more on this day. So my runner got stopped out, basically break even, which I could have held it, or had I not already, at this point I was technically already at my loss limit, but I had a lot of conviction in this and I wanted to at least get a little bit back. Had I not been at my loss limit, this retest here would have been a very nice trade as well to take that down. So just stupid, right? Like just not like high quality trading. No big deal. My loss limit is between $400 and $500. So once I'm above 400, I will not execute any new trades, but I have like a hard loss limit of 500. So that's the stupid stuff I did. Now we're going to switch over to replay mode, and I'm going to show you what I should have done, which is actually, I think, a lot more educational. All right, guys, here we go. So I've got replay mode set up. This is currently at 9:39 a.m., so just after the cash open. And I want to show you exactly what I was looking at here. Now, there's a trade set up here that I personally would not have taken, but I want to show you sort of what it is. It did work, but I wouldn't have taken it, and I'll show you why. But let's just kind of take a look here. So I'm going to go through my main 3 time frames that I use. I mostly use tick-based charts, but I do reference time charts as well. For simplicity and time, I'm just going to go through my main charts, which are my tick charts. I use 3 main charts. I use the 50,000 tick, which is my higher time frame / like primary trend chart, and that's this chart right here. And so on this chart, you know, my bias going into the day, honestly, was up. This is contract rollover. And so we've been starting to make higher highs and higher lows as we go up here, higher high. But then we had this super strong breakdown here. Now, this is sort of debatable whether this, maybe you look at this and say it broke some structure, like here. Sorry, I'm using the wrong tool. That's why. It's my VWAP tool. It's debatable whether you could say like this broke some structure here and shifted to a downtrend. So it's a little bit dicey, but we were coming into this, bigger swing low here, this bigger area here. You can look at this on an hour. You see these big wicks here. So there were a lot of buyers down here. Definitely something to be aware of. Talking about this area within here. So, absolutely something that we want to be aware of. And so I was a little hesitant, right? I was a little hesitant to the short side this morning, which threw me off a little bit. It's not like really an ideal place to go short, even though the market was definitely breaking down. So this is my high time frame sort of reference point. But you can definitely see like, higher high, higher low, higher high here of this like bigger swing. And so, if you look at that, I mean, again, we're still, gotta move this a little bit to get this fib accurate. We're still very much in an uptrend and just approaching this blue is the 50% retracement of that last major sort of move there. But anyway, this is the 50,000 tick. So, there's that. However, on the 10,000 tick, which is my intermediate trend, whoops, you can see that we were moving up, higher highs and higher lows. And then we had some distribution within here, broke this structure. This gray line here is actually from a daily level as well, which just happened to also create structure on this smaller time frame. It kind of created this sort of head and shoulders looking thing towards the end of the day yesterday into the overnight. And then this was the news move. This was actually a beautiful trade, but it's not within my normal trading hours. So we're on our way down. Again, this is where we are. This to me looks very extended. And I'm thinking like, okay, are we starting to kind of end this move? Do we want to be looking at longs? I'm seeing delta starting to go up here, even though price is moving down. But I had put that note in for myself that until we start to shift to an uptrend on this 10,000 tick, which we clearly have not yet, don't go long, okay? However, if you want to play the short side here, this would have been the first setup I would see. You have this sort of double bottom support, and price is going to break this support. So as we let this play out, and I'm just going to fast forward a little bit so that we can get to where the actual setup occurred. So you see price bouncing there again. This is exactly what I like to see if I'm going to take a breakout. I like to see price consolidating a little bit right before it breaks through. That's a more ideal breakout for me. So again, I'm a little bit fast forwarding here. I'll slow it down as we get close. So here we go. See price is getting ready to break, but see the delta end location would have kept me out of this. But I would be essentially getting ready to take a trade, watching this price action. I look for just stop placement above the support or resistance area. If there's a candle there to sort of anchor it to, I will do that. But sometimes I just go a few ticks above or below. And as price starts to kind of get ready, I don't know exactly what candle it breaks on. I know it was around this time, so I'm going to let this play out so that we can kind of catch the move. See, we get this little bounce again. That's confirming for me that this is an important level. But usually I like delta confirmation. This is the cumulative delta down here. And that does not look like a healthy cumulative delta. Again, that's what would have really sort of kept me out of this trade. If delta does show a sharp drop suddenly, that would give me some more confidence. So I would get in somewhere around here. If I get a fill, I might not get a fill. I might have been a little slow there. Yeah, I was a little slow. I don't think it's going to come back. The first target would have been here at 30.25. We'll fast forward for the sake of it. Oh, maybe I do get a fill. There we go. Got a fill. and then we'll fast forward this and see how this trade plays out. So this was the first entry I saw, breakdown of this support and resistance area. And as we get in here, almost hit target one, kind of wicked it and then stopped. There we go. I'm going to move that stop to about break even there, especially because of that nice little swing high we got. And again, right almost to that target, second target, and I might get stopped out here on the runner, which is fine. So that would be the execution here. Let's just fast forward again, get through this particular trade. See Delta's starting to look more and more bearish, and almost. There we go. There's the target there. So that was the first setup I saw. Now, looking at this on the 10,000 tick, it's just not that juicy. And look at the location. Like, this just kind of sucks. I've got this dotted line here. This is the swing low. So we're sort of expecting buyers to possibly be present. We're seeing Delta come up. I personally just would not take that trade, even though it did work. But the setup is there. It's just not super ideal. But let's move on, and I'll show you the next trade setup and how we should have executed on it, which is going to be a little bit cleaner, a little bit more in my playbook, and it's going to be after that 10 o'clock news hits. Okay, so here we go. We know this kind of trade is setting up here. This is the 10,000 tick again. Again, major time frame here. You can see we actually pierced this low now, right? So that bullish structure on the primary trend has now been broken. And so now it's a little bit more comfortable for me to look for shorts, which is really what I should have been doing all along at this point in the morning. So this is the 50,000 tick, and you can see that this higher low here was just broken, and this very aggressive move down. Now the delta, this is a cumulative delta, and again, still kind of sketchy looking, but I'm not super concerned about that on this higher time frame. This is the 10,000 tick, so this is my intermediate time frame. So I generally really like my entries to go with the trend on this time frame, and this trend is very much still down. We've got some consolidation here, but it was consolidation with lower highs. We kind of broke, came all the way down, and we're starting to look like another lower high could be forming here. And what's really nice about this is that same support and resistance area that I just showed that trade from right here. Okay, so you got this swing low. You know, anybody watching a 5-minute chart can sort of see that little swing low there as well. But you got the swing low to this swing high. So we're starting to create support and resistance. And this looks like a really nice kind of retest area to me. So I'm going to start the replay back. We'll watch this unfold, but this is what I'd be looking at. Now, if we go to the 2000 tick, what do we see? This is where I took that kind of silly short earlier. We're consolidating right at this support and resistance, right? And so that to me is looking really good, but I don't have a setup yet, okay? What I do start to see is I'm starting to see some support here. And this becomes very interesting to me because we know we're in a downtrend on the intermediate, right, on the 10,000 tick, which would be like a 15-minute chart if you're using time-based charts. The 50,000 tick, which is sort of like an hourly chart, just broke the bullish structure. So we start to get more comfortable to the downside. And what I want to point out here is, again, we made a swing high here and a swing high here. This is the 2000 tick. This is my entry chart, okay? But look at the delta. The delta's not confirming that move, okay? So that should already tell us that, you know, this is an area where you might be interested in going short. Now, depending on your trade style, some people maybe could have entered right here, put your stop above this, and that would have been safe, just barely. That's not my particular setup. So let's continue to let this play. And what we start to see now is, again, the delta is looking weaker and weaker here. So sellers are really coming in here. even though we're pressing up against this support area. So price starts to break down hard. I'm going to get my trigger ready. Again, I want my stop to be above this support resistance. And see how the delta is looking right now? I'm going to get in because look at that delta. I mean, look at that. That is just as bearish as it gets. So that's what I love to see on a support and resistance breakdown, okay? That's exactly what I love to see, is that the delta is going strong into it with strong price action, and as it breaks, that delta is really, really strong. So we get this nice breakdown. Now, the way my software works, you'll notice my contract size is different. It's based on my risk allotment. So it's currently set to do $200 risk per trade. So on this particular trade, based on the placement of the entry and stop, it allowed for 3 contracts. Okay, now I'm personally going to move this last one up here because I do have the NinjaTrader large trade detector right there. I know buyers came in here, and I'm going to move this to break even. I know buyers came in there, so that I'm going to want to get out of that trade around that point. Now, hindsight, like I already know this comes back up and retests, and it's probably going to take these runners out break even. But obviously in real time, we would not have known that. So I don't know if this hits that target before it would have taken those runners out. We're going to let that play. I'll fast forward through this a little bit. Now, I probably would have exited there. Usually when I see things get that close, I bring my stops down and trail. I'm just not doing it right now because I'm on replay and I was speeding things up. But I most likely, when things get that close to my target, I'm not going to let it come all the way back. I'm going to bring that target in within a few ticks and just let it either hit my target or my stop, because there's no way I'm kind of taking that. Now, again, this is a beautiful retest. And what I want to point out about this retest here, this is another trade opportunity. And the reason why, so again, I've pointed out what I like to see on a support and resistance break. But what I also want to point out here is on the retest, look at when we first broke here, the delta was, up here. And now that we're back at the same price level, retesting, but look how much lower our delta is. Okay, you guys see that? So that is very nice confirmation if you're looking to trade a retest. That's the kind of thing you want to see on delta. So if I play this back again, and when I see this start to break down, I can get in. See, based on trade size this time, it gave me a 2 contract trade entry. And I'll speed this up. Now, I don't know if I would have gotten in exactly there. I don't like the way this delta looks quite here yet. I most likely would have waited on that entry a little bit to see the delta on this particular bar look a little bit more like it was confirming. So I probably would have ended up entering on this second bar here as this delta starts to break down more. That would have been a more realistic entry for me, okay, if I were doing this live. So we'll speed this up and let this play through. Boom, there's target 1, stop to break even, and target 2. Wonderful. Okay, so that's really the first 2, I guess, really clean trade setups that I would have taken today, and why I would have taken them using essentially just price action and delta. Okay, that's about as simple as it gets, and that's mainly how I trade. Okay, just price action and cumulative delta. So you can see kind of why I liked that setup, and then kind of you can target the lows there if you want to. I have my targets predetermined based on risk reward. That's built into the software that I have, which is, by the way, I know people ask about it, that the trade entry software, it's a custom build. I may eventually be releasing it publicly, but right now it's just something I use myself, that I had a colleague write the code for me to be able to execute the way I like to execute. So that was the next setup, and we're going to show one more. Okay, guys, so here's the last trade, and this one's actually, I think, one of the nicer setups. Now, I unfortunately did not have the opportunity to trade this. I had already hit my daily loss limit. That's the problem with making stupid trades, is you miss out on other opportunities, but I think it's a great one to show. Now, this was the same support and resistance area that we took the breakdown previously. And If you look at this on the 10,000 tick, again, the intermediate time frame, we're very clearly still in a downtrend. So we're making some lower highs and lower lows on our way down. And most importantly, on the primary trend, the 50,000 tick, which is maybe like an hourly chart, again, if you're looking at time-based charts, we broke this structure, this swing low here, which was also, right around the high of the day from 2 days ago. And so we get much more comfortable looking for short trades as we've already kind of shown that we're breaking through previous structures. Now we are a little bit extended to the downside, but the setup's clean. I'll show you what I mean. So here's the 10,000 tick. You can see that we're coming back into this area. And then this is my entry chart. Now, this is where we took that last trade. What I want to show you is even this little retest here where Delta had already dropped a bunch compared to this retest we are now making. Look at the cumulative delta. So here the delta was up here still at positive 400 and something or other. And then on this retest, as we're coming back into it, look where delta is. Negative 3,000. That's what I like to see if I'm going to take a kind of pull back and retest, okay? I like to see that kind of delta confirmation where there's some divergence between these equal highs and where the delta is, which is very much a lower high, okay? So I'm going to hit play in a second and I'll show you how we execute on this. And what I'm looking for, my entry trigger, and this is my trading style, you do whatever the heck you want to do. This is what I do. I like confirmation from both price action and delta. This keeps me out of a lot of bad trades, prevents me from entering trades too early, so on and so forth. It's my personal preference, but you do you. So we're going to watch this in just regular, kind of real time, 1x speed. So as it's coming into this, I'm really watching this. I'm watching delta, I'm watching price action. I'll zoom in on both these a little bit. And I want to start to see if something starts to look interesting. Now I'm starting to see delta roll over here. Starting to see the price action roll over too, but the delta's not kind of quite yet confirming that, right? So even though price action's about to break this low, we're sort of engulfing now. I'm going to get myself ready, but I'm not seeing the kind of breakdown in delta there that I want to see to trigger an entry for me. So I'm not getting in here. Now, you certainly could have. There would have been nothing wrong. Price never came back to this point, okay? But that's just not my entry. It's just not how I enter trades. But if you're just doing price action, sure, go for it. It's a nice engulfing candle, rock on, right? Personally, I'm waiting. I'm looking again to see confirmation down here on the delta. See how the delta still looks very strong? So I'm waiting. And when I do this, I don't personally then put my stop up above the swing high. I put my stop right above the level where I saw the delta breakdown, or the candle where I saw the delta breakdown. It gives me a nice tight stop. That's my trading style because the way I like to enter trades, I expect them to really move. So this is better. Here we go. I'm going to try to get in this. There we go. That was a little tight. That should have been one tick above. That's my fault. I'll move that. And because of that, actually, these targets should be moved as well. A little bit. The way my entry software works, it places the targets based on predetermined risk reward. It's in the parameters. So I'm just going to let this play out. Now, we are seeing some divergence here, right? The delta is bullish, but price action is bearish. I always follow price action. Price action is king. So we always follow what price is doing because that's what actually pays us. So we're going to just let this play out. I'll move this up a little bit. Now, if you wanted to, this is a 1.5 reward to risk, and this is a 2 reward to risk. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually kind of put this down to target the lows because we're in a stage 4 downtrend. So we should expect this low to at least get tested, if not taken out. So I usually put it a little bit above wherever the low is. This is I'm not used to having it so zoomed in. Sorry, guys. Try to make it easy to see on the YouTube video, but. So I'm going to speed this up just a touch so we can kind of watch this trade play out. Go to 3x speed. Now at this point, we've kind of come up and made this little mini swing high. And if we get another good push down, I'm definitely moving this stop. Definitely moving this stop. I want to see us kind of break that low. There we go. So I'm going to move that there. Beautiful. And oh my gosh, almost got my fill and not quite. So hopefully we get another little push down. There it is. Okay, so we got the fill on target one. Now at this point, you can move the stop to break even if you want to. I'm pretty comfortable with my stop right here. I'll still end up with profit on this trade, even if my runner gets taken out. And I don't want to risk my runner that getting taken out, such bearish order flow and price action here. I don't want to risk my runner getting taken out prematurely, so I'm just going to let that ride. Now, if we come down again here, I may actually move it again, but it just sort of depends. We've got to break this low here for me to move that. So I'm going to watch it. I want to see the sellers make another really strong effort. So I want to see like another strong push down, because at that point, if they make that really strong push down and it fails and price comes back up to that swing high, then I know they've lost control. But I haven't moved it yet. I'm just sort of waiting. So, we want to see that next push down to take out that next swing low, right? Because that's what confirms this being a more meaningful swing point. So now we see, if you look at the delta is dropping. We see the sellers trying to push this. There we go. The delta is really dropping. If that low gets taken out, I'm going to move my stop. Pretty close there. I like to see it at least, either get pretty far underneath or close underneath. There we go. Didn't quite feel me. Now, for me personally, guys, like this is playing in 3x speed. So if this was normal speed, usually when I see things get that close, I'm at that point bringing my stop down like this. Like I'm not letting this get all the way, like basically touching my target, not fill me, and then come back at me. Like I'm not letting that happen in real time. But that was 3x speed. There's no way I was moving my stop that fast. But I'm going to be ready. If it pops back down close there again, I'll tighten the stop up really close, because I just want to grab it at that point, right? Like, why risk 4 points to make one extra tick? That makes absolutely no sense, right? The risk reward on that, like, just doesn't, the math doesn't add up. So really, I would have been out of this trade already if I were trading this live. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you guys. And I don't know, this might come back down. I don't know candle for candle what this does. I didn't look at it that closely, and I didn't trade this live, so I'm not that familiar with how this price action particularly plays out. So this might actually come back out and take my stop, and that's fine. The main thing is I want you to see why I entered these trades, sort of where I put my stop, what I'm looking for from both a price action standpoint and then also from an order flow standpoint. And as you notice, I just watch order flow via the cumulative delta. Like that's all I look at. I don't look at, I used to look at the dome, and it just, to me, it was just a little bit too much noise. I find I can see what I need to see with delta. So that actually took me out at my break-even stop. That's totally fine. Again, if I were doing that live, there's no way I would have let that happen. I would have trailed that, but I had it going in fast forward and just couldn't do that. So anyway, that's the last trade of the day. That's exactly the kind of stuff that I look for. That's how I should have traded the day if I didn't have my head up my rear end. I don't know what was going on. Let me know in the comments what you think about this style of video. This one was a little bit long and drawn out. I would anticipate that as I do these more, I can probably make them more concise. Is it helpful? Is it helpful to see the both what I did in actuality and then to contrast it and show how we should have played it and go through this in replay? Now, again, I'm going to be going through it in replay whether or not you guys are watching it with me or not, because this is part of my daily practice to improve myself as a trader and to stay on my A game. It's like going back and watching the tape if you're a professional athlete, right? So I'll be doing this anyway, but if I'm doing it anyway, I figure, hey, why the heck not record it? So let me know if you want more of these, because you're going to see the strategy breakdowns in them. You're going to see how I play support and resistance and how I use the delta and order flow within that and how I execute. And I don't record when I trade live, guys. It's just too much for me. Like, I'm not that good of a trader. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't trade. I've tried it. I don't trade well when I'm recording myself live, but I will, for transparency, show you where my live executions were so that you can see it, because otherwise it's a little bit phony baloney to just show you the hindsight part of it. But I can make that part of it more concise if you want. So let me know what you think. I hope this was helpful. I'll catch up with you guys next time. If this is your first time watching, check out some of my other videos. I do have some just like strategy breakdown videos that are super concise, but I know people have been asking for more content. And this is one way that I can get you more content, get you more education while still doing my daily practice, which is honestly the most important thing. I'm not trying to be a millionaire YouTuber. I focus on my trading. I also run 2 other businesses, and I'm a part-time stay-at-home dad. My kids just got off the bus, so they're home too. So I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but like making videos for YouTube isn't like my highest priority. I don't sell courses. My Discord is free. My main priority is just trading. So anyway, I'll catch up with you guys soon. See ya.